Okay, now just give me like 3-4 minutes of your time and I'll show you how to get the best SBA loan in the country that's right for you without hiring some accountant or attorney or expert like that. Okay, now here's what you do. Okay, you go to SBA.gov, .com or anything like that, and just go to the main website there, and you see up on top that says grants and loans or loans and grants. Just click that on. Click that on loans and grants, and then you come to another page, and on the left-hand side of that page, you'll see a listing there under loans and grants, and one of the items says, see who's lending near you. See, there's thousands of banks out there and other kind of financial institutions that are sanctioned by the SBA, to lend you money, and the government signs off on it. See, it's like having a rich uncle co-sign your loan, because if you can't make it, then the government pays it off for you. That's what's so neat. So that's why they're easier to get than traditional loans. Okay, so you click who's lending near you. Okay, you click that and you come to this page here. Okay, and you see there's a place to put in either your zip code or your district or even your city, your district, where you live. So I put in Philadelphia, okay, because I used to live near there, Philadelphia. Actually, I lived up in Wilkes-Barre, it's a little further. And then you get, listen, look at what it does is show you all the data of the banks who give money in SBA loans, how much they give, and in what categories. Now here you see, like Wells Fargo in the Philadelphia area gave out 94 loans that were $50,000 or less. They gave out 37 loans that were from $50,000 to $350,000. And they gave out like 79 loans that were from $350,000 to $5 million. See, depending on how much money you have or need, different banks will be probably more interested in you. That's why this is wonderful data. This data is available. It's public information. So you could go down and see, and actually what you should do first is call your own bank. In other words, you contact your own bank because you have a relationship with them. Now they're going to say yes or no, obviously, or maybe or whatever. And so if they say no, don't forget they may be talking about just regular kind of commercial loans. Ask them about SBA loans, and then if they still say no, okay, then you're going to go to this list, and to this office. But if they say yes, but you don't qualify, try to find out why, and they'll tell you why. But let's get back to this list. Okay, you go to this list and you see all the banks there. Well, you're still not sure. It's a little complicated or whatever. So what you do is you go down to the bottom of that list and you see the contact information at the Small Business Administration. Now what's important about that is that they know these banks. And banks lend to different kind of businesses. See, some banks will specialize in restaurants. Some banks will specialize in high technology, maybe you're an automobile repair or something like that. See, they have different banks specializing in different kind of industries and businesses, so they get to know those industries and businesses so they can understand your business. Because if you're trying to sell a technology business to some bank who doesn't know beans about technology, it's going to be a harder sell. So you want to go to the people that know about your industry and business, because we all have peculiar ways of doing business depending on what kind of industry you're in. So it's important to find out the banks that lend to your kind of business, and that how much fits your category. And these people that are listed there, you just call them up. I call them up again just the other day just to check. And they said, yes, no problem. We'll tell you wherever you live, the 3 best banks in your area and why and things like this. And now here's something very important that they'll also do. If you don't get the money for some reason, they'll help you get it. And free. See, these are free. Your accountant and things like that are going to charge you, a couple $100 an hour to do anything. they'll do all this for free. So maybe you don't have a good enough business plan or something like that, or your credit is lousy or something like that, and you're not getting it, So they'll work with you for free to make sure you get it. See, what the government wants to do this, number one, you're going to create jobs. All the jobs in our country come from small businesses nowadays. It's not the big businesses. They make more money by laying off people, not by hiring people. That's how they make money, because the owners are getting paid in stock, and how much their stock is worth. So it increased their stock value if they cut expenses. So that's why it's laying off people. So to create jobs, the country really has to rely on small business. So this is why this program is there to help people get loans for small businesses. So use them advice, because they help you do business plans. Maybe it's your business plan. You don't have a good idea about a business plan or something. There's a lot of paperwork with these small business loans. And what we're going to do actually is have an app soon that you just put in one zip code or wherever you live, and you get all this data right on your phone. Yeah. And you can call them people right there and everything. So that's going to be cool when we finish that. But until then, you're going to have to go through this process. But here's another neat thing about, I don't know if it's so neat, about small business loans, is the default rate. See, they give out, like $18 billion a year in loans. And look at their default rate is something like 18%, for default. Franchises have 13%. So in the SBA, franchises are theoretically have the smaller default rate, but some franchises are crazy, like Amco Transmission. They have 26% default rate. Stone Cold Creamery, they have a 30% default rate. Planet Beach, I guess that's one of those tanning salons. Almost half of their people default. Yeah, so that's amazing. That's why the government loans are easier, because they have higher default rates. It's really for when you can't get loans elsewhere. See, that's why the government money is around. And while I was looking at that, I was saying, okay, so if the government is lending out money to small businesses and they have like an 18% default rate, what are the other things doing? Okay, here I found an index of default rates on basic business money. And it's right now, it's like 7 or 8%. So it's half of what the small business loans are at the SBA guaranteed loans. Well, here's another thing. I don't know if you know about online you can get business loans, and we're going to have this as part of the app, and these may be better. They'll be easier and things like that instead of small business SBA loans. So this is how to get internet loans for your business that are cheaper, better, faster maybe. Now one of the big people who do this is Kiva. They're international. They have a group here in USA, but they give money out worldwide to people who are mostly independent entrepreneurs and just need a few $1,000 to start a business or whatever, $5,000-$10,000 kind of thing, and their default rate is half, or even actually over the world it's only 1%. These are poor people who don't have the money, and their default rate is only 1%. The rich people borrow from banks have a bigger default rate. That's or Grameen Bank. Now that's another low-income. It's a bank for low-income people to start a business, and they're in the United States now too. And they have a 1.5% to 2.5%. Now you have to meet the federal poverty guidelines to get this money. Okay, you hear that? You have to meet the federal poverty guidelines. You can't make a lot of money to get this loan. You go to the bank. If you're in poverty, this is a loan for you. Yeah. And listen to this. Their default rate is 1.5% to 2.5%. Okay, the SBA business loans are 18%. Yeah, what are we doing wrong in this world? Yeah, obviously a lot. Yeah, so that's what. And peer-to-peer lending. I mean, that's another thing that we're going to have in this app too. So you could find out these alternative sources besides going to the banks or even SBA loans. They have a default rate of only 3 and 4%. Yeah. So it's amazing, and all the online is a heck of a lot cheaper, easier, faster, and nicer, to get a loan that way. But a lot of people still SBA loans. They're giving out $18 billion a year, and I just showed you the easiest and best way to get the perfect loan for you. Okay, now watch this exclusive interview we have of a bank executive who gives out SBA loans, and she tells you all the details about it, and an entrepreneur who received an SBA loan. So this is really the real facts about it. I showed you how to go through the process and the best way to do all that and get what you need. But now they share things like why the SBA loans are great in a bad economy, or how to apply to more than one bank, or why payments are lower on SBA loans than they are on regular loans, or what are the biggest misconceptions that people have about an SBA loan, or also why you can identify certain banks that are certified to get you a quicker SBA loan than other people. Yeah. Or also, listen to this, why SBA loans are great if you want to buy an existing business. So watch this interview. You're not going to see it anywhere else, and they're great people. And your name?
My name is Lynn Ozer.
Oh, neat name. And who are you with, Lynn?
I work for Susquehanna Bank.
So you're the banker.
I'm the
responsible
banker lady.
for all this stuff, right?
Right. I've been doing government guaranteed lending my entire career.
Wonderful.
I worked for the Small Business Administration when I got out of college.
Wonderful.
I worked there for 5 years, and then I've been managing government guaranteed lending departments. So I've been doing SBA lending and some USDA B&I lending. For the last,
I see. That's Department of Agriculture,
30 years.
Business Industrial Loans. Yeah.
Business and industry loans, correct. Yes, that's what we do.
And why is that different? It's just a different population? I mean, smaller towns?
It's very, very restrictive from, you have to be in a certain pinpoint location, non-adjacent to populations in excess of 50,000.
Okay. Well, let's get back to this. Let's introduce you. And you are?
Janice Presser.
Janice and
Dr. Janice.
Dr. Janice.
When do you do exams?
Dr. J does them every
Dr.
day.
J, my nickname is Dr. J.
Oh, no kidding?
Yeah.
She's completely opposite of Dr. J, from Philadelphia.
I see.
Julius Irving.
Oh, that's right.
Dr. J, the gigantic basketball player, and she's the little doctor.
Your size.
Twice? Yes.
Okay, I have a great hook shot, and it's just in business. We all bring.
And what is this neat place here that I walked into?
This is the Gabriel Institute.
The Gabriel Institute. So why the name Gabriel?
Well, Gabriel's kind of the all-purpose angel bringing good news.
Okay, good.
And so it's kind of stuck, but it's really not related to what we did, which is we created a technology of teaming.
A technology of teaming. So you're a small business entrepreneur. You had this idea of technology of teaming.
Well, here's the
technology. There's no computers, so to speak. I mean, it's not a big that kind of technology.
Actually, there are computers.
Oh, it is. Okay.
They're just not here. They're all over in a couple of countries.
Wow.
But this was it. It was a long time ago, 35 years ago, and I was driven by this question of how do people really work together? If you think about a startup team, it's pretty easy. I mean, either you have the right people and you can actually do something, or you don't. There's somebody in the room who just can't get the team
like a mother-in-law
business. Could be, yeah. Oh, absolutely, because this happens in families also.
Right.
So I'm a behavioral scientist, and I'd observed teams in a lot of different areas. You know, in an emergency room in a hospital, it can make the difference. If you have good teaming, people will live maybe who you wouldn't expect.
So this is your business. You're a consultant then?
No.
Okay, then what is the business?
I knew that there had to be a way to measure, and so you could predict who would be good on a team, who would work on a team well, and what would they actually do for your organization, whatever the purpose was.
Your business helps people identify who's good on your team?
Through the technology. That
there's
took
the technology.
25 years of research.
I see. Wow.
And then 9.5 years of development.
Wow.
This is on the web, and it's lots of fun. And this is what you do. Think about movies.
All the time.
Movies are like teams. We love movies because they're like business problems. People get together,
Right.
there's a problem, and they solve
making
it.
a movie, you mean? Or the movie?
The movie, the
I see.
plot of the
Okay,
movie.
right, right.
That's what we love.
Well, it's so nice. In 2 hours, they solve everything.
That's
Yeah.
right. And don't we...
My whole life, I've been trying to stop biting my nails. Yeah.
Right. Some problems you can solve really quickly.
Yeah.
And that's the purpose of your business. Actually, your business
Yeah. Right.
is to give people
That's right.
a
Yeah.
one-stop shop to say,
Mhm.
okay, well, what do I need to know about, for instance, getting an SBA loan?
But
that's
as
it.
far as the team thing,
Yeah.
so you've been spending 30, 40 years developing this model.
More than that,
More
it
than
is a
model, what is it?
technology. So
Technology.
you can go online
You go online
and have
do
a
what?
fun experience
Mhm.
where you are going to get to star in a series of 10 movies.
Oh.
And from that,
So who does this?
who
I mean,
does that?
I did it.
Organizations,
did?
big, small.
So like you
and
have a
like-
business or running people, and so
Mhm.
you could come to your website and figure out how to run your people better?
Absolutely. How to first
Ah.
understand them, because how you understand somebody should drive the way you respect them.
Mhm.
If you don't respect people and get
Right.
what they're doing for your organization, you're not going to be
I
very
see.
successful at it.
Mm.
Lots of people, particularly people who want to start businesses,
Yeah.
want to do it because they didn't do so well in other things.
Yeah,
I was like that.
I flunked out a lot of places.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's very often because other people didn't appreciate
Yes.
what we were doing for the big dream.
Mhm.
So I'm really the big
Mhm.
dreamer, and you can't get a job like that
Right.
right out of college. And, you're what we call an
Uh-huh.
explorer, the
Mhm.
person who goes off and
Mm.
often doesn't think of themselves as being a great team member because they don't like being in
Mhm.
meetings. That's
Right.
good.
Oh,
Never make an
right.
explorer come to
Yeah.
a team meeting. Let them go outside and
Mhm.
find the cool stuff of value. In fact,
Mhm.
by the time we're done with this, I'm going to have you get something really cool of value so you can offer it to
Yeah,
everybody.
exactly.
Because that's what
Mhm.
explorers do. And if you love them for that,
Right.
you're going to have a great team.
No, you're right. I mean, we all want to be appreciated. We all want to be loved.
That's right.
I
Yeah.
see that in everything. And if you're not appreciated, you don't want to be there. And so then you're not going
Right.
to perform. So you help, I guess, managers or anybody who's managing people.
Anyone.
Anyone.
Anyone who hires anyone for
Mhm.
anything has a
Mhm.
team to manage for any purpose,
Mhm.
even if it's a nonprofit
Mhm.
or anything that you
Mhm.
are,
Any kind of group.
anything that you were doing.
So it's a way then, it's something online
it is online.
that you go on and you start
go
figuring
through this
out.
assessment.
Uh-huh.
You send everybody through it.
I mean, everyone in your team goes
Everyone
through
on
it
your
with
team,
you? Ah.
and separately. You do them all
Separately, I
separately,
see. Uh-huh.
so you can be any place.
Right,
But so
great.
many teams are
I
remote
see.
now.
Yes,
Our
yes.
team is remote.
Yeah,
We have team
likewise.
members in various
Yes.
Canada and
The best
Europe.
employees, the ones I never see.
Absolutely. It's true. It's true. And then there are
Uh-huh.
other people on your team who actually aren't employees,
Mhm,
but they're
right.
people who support you.
Yes.
And that includes your banker,
right.
your attorney
Uh-huh.
and accountant perhaps, and other people
Mhm.
that might advise
So
you.
then it sounds like you, let's say you as the manager managing the team, and the individual members of the team take this assessment or
Right.
whatever and feel, and then start to understand how valuable their contribution can be,
Absolutely.
and the other people in the team understand how valuable their contribution could be, even though they're weird.
We say unique.
Yeah, I see.
Uniquely valuable. Not weird. Because we're all kind of weird.
Yes,
I mean, how
yeah.
weird is it to,
Well,
to try and put a
absolutely.
business
Because-
together?
And I
Yeah.
believe that too so much because I feel what's weird about us is our best part.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, that's the best thing we
Biggest
have to
value.
give to
That's right.
anybody. What's
Your
weird about
uniqueness,
us,
that's right.
and everybody tries to beat the shit out. Trying to beat it in us and not display it. When I think it's the opposite.
And if
So you understand that and
if
and
you
get it from the
understand
team.
everyone, and you see it, and you just read it in a report,
Yeah.
and it's right there.
It is the most amazing thing. I have taken personality assessments
Mhm.
and learned to work in a team because they do that with bankers and stuff. So they tell you you're an A, a B, a C,
Right,
a D.
right.
Oh, she's an A personality.
I see,
He's a
right.
D. You know, how you get along, how you read
Mhm.
people and stuff like that. Or they give you a list of words and you pick up the ones that describe you, which you could easily manipulate,
Right.
by the way. And then they tell you, this is how you are. Well, I took this test, okay, which
I mean,
is
her test, yeah, yeah.
which is not really a test. It's like
see.
being in a movie. It's deciding
Uh-huh.
what script you want to be in and how you want to be, how you want to behave and what role you want to do and what other people are going to think of you in that role. It's it's actually fun to
Yeah.
do. It's time consuming. It takes probably 45 minutes to an hour to do
Oh
it.
boy!
But
oh.
well,
You're gonna
I
change
know.
your life. It's gonna take an hour. Hell
You know
of
what?
that.
Any more people want everything is
I know, it's
nanosecond.
so
It
stupid.
is online, but it does take a while. But you get your results back in an
Yeah,
amazingly
I see.
quick time. But when I got my results back, I'm reading it and going, how did they know that
No
from that?
kidding.
Like, there's no way you can manipulate the test to come up with it. And everything in the role-based assessment about me was spot on. And only people that really, really know me, like my husband, would even know stuff like this. And I was like, how did she know that? It's amazing. And then it just shows how you work with different people, but it also picked out stuff that you don't really want to admit about yourself, but you know it's true.
Yeah. Is that good or bad?
No, it's really good. I mean, when you're honest with yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it was great because no one else was reading it but me.
Right.
It didn't matter. But when you're trying to assemble a team, or you're trying to look at the team that you have
see.
and make sure they're already in the right roles.
Oh.
I mean, from a human resource perspective, this is genius.
I
It's
see.
genius.
So that's what it really is. You're
It's
developing
what
a
it is.
team, you give them this test for 45 minutes, then you could see how well they may or may not fit in to what you
Yes.
want.
Also, when you're hiring somebody,
That's what I mean.
you know, the thing is that you look at the resume,
Yeah.
and let's face it, they're all designing the resumes for what you want them to
Right,
do.
yeah.
So on paper, they all look exactly
Right.
the same, but how are they really going to act in your team and behave? That's
Right.
what this tells you,
Well, that's-
which is
that's true.
priceless. I mean,
and especially
really.
now with remotely, because teams are working all over the world.
Exactly.
Right? And so now you can just have this team, the test, and
Right.
figure out better how they're going to fit in instead
Right.
of talking on Skype and
Right.
Right.
reading a
Right.
resume. I remember when I first started hiring people, 40 years ago, whatever it was, and I'd hire by resumes. And then I thought, oh God, that wasn't working out well at all. And I figured that, especially with my kind of stuff, everyone had enough stuff to get through what I really had to do, and the rest was sort of like personality. So if I didn't like the person, any little bitty stuff would really piss me off. If I liked them, then I'd put up with all that little nonsense.
Right.
Sort of like a
Well, this
relationship
is-
with a husband and wife.
Exactly that way.
The other thing is there's more applications than strictly in the workplace. Like Dr. J had my son take the
Oh,
assessment
really?
because he's a senior in high school and
Ah,
applying to
I
colleges
see.
and has an idea of
see.
what he wants to do, but what he might think he wants to do and what he should be
Yes.
doing are not
Right.
necessarily the same thing, and what he's
Well, he hasn't
most well
failed enough
suited
yet, that's
for.
why.
Yes.
Well, that's true, but
Very successful.
but the information that she was able to glean from that about
Yeah.
him,
Wow.
he took it to heart,
Right, that's cool.
and it's
So then,
pretty serious.
is it aimed at students like this too?
Aimed at
Everybody.
everyone.
So it's not an
Everyone.
outrageous price. I was thinking, well, this is just some big expensive thing.
Oh,
for
the
only
report?
big, yeah, right.
$80.
$80, that's it? $80?
Yeah,
No
80
kidding.
bucks.
Right.
That's fantastic.
Right.
So as an individual, particularly now, people, looking for a new career because a lot of them are out of careers, right?
It would be awesome.
Yeah, and to get a better fit, for $80, you go to a psychologist or all these people. Just somebody
That's
write
right.
a resume.
1
is gonna
hour with
charge-
a therapist is more than $80, and believe
Exactly.
me, this is much
Right.
better money spent. I agree.
Or even a resume writer is going to charge a couple
Yeah.
$100 to do this kind
Oh,
of stuff.
absolutely.
It's dreadful. So for $80, you really have an insight in what you really should be doing in life and what you're good at.
and then when you think about human resources and when they're looking to hire people, to spend $80
Exactly,
to really
right.
find out instead of to hire the wrong person,
Right.
it's a whole lot more
And live
money
with that
to hire the wrong
Right.
person than to spend $80 up front. It's an
Absolutely.
amazing value for your investment.
Oh, that's fantastic. So any new hire then, for
Yeah.
$80, you eliminate a lot of risk.
Oh, absolutely.
I think
That's probably
more than
the highest and
eliminating
best
the
use
risk
of it.
It would be to know how to best use that person. That's what I see
Right.
in all my people that I work with now. When they screw up and things like that, then I feel it's my problem trying to I have to figure out how to best use what they're, can do best. It's not their problem. They're trying to make them, shoot a basketball at 20 feet. They can't.
Right.
I got to find out what they're really good at that I could use that talent to drag us
Right.
forward. And that's my problem, not so much their
Yeah.
problem. So as a manager, so
Right.
this for $80, I can get an insight on how to get out of them.
Oh, absolutely.
What they have the best stuff to
And-
give me.
And
The
can I tell
synergy.
you this though? You as the manager get an interpretation of the
Ah.
individual, and the individual gets
Yes.
a report
Separate.
on themselves, all for $80. It's amazing.
Is it different?
Each one.
Yes.
they're different.
Oh.
Yes,
Oh.
it's
There's
great.
Really?
they're each different reports
Right.
$80, but
Uh-huh.
what for the manager, it's really to make you a better manager, because if you know how
I
to manage
see.
and respect
Right.
that person, they
Yeah.
will do better.
Right.
For the person,
Yeah.
you don't tell people what they're not good at, because
Yes.
that is not going to
They
help.
already know that.
It's irrelevant.
Exactly.
If you're on a
Right.
great team,
Yeah.
people fill in for each other.
Yes.
So the synergy that you can
Yeah.
get, for instance, as an explorer going outside, your
Right.
ideal partner inside
Mhm.
is called a watchdog, and that's the
I
person
see,
who takes
right.
all that great stuff that you
Right.
bring in and distributes
Yeah.
it where it needs to go.
And I think that's my biggest problem in managing people. I think everyone's like me.
They're not.
See,
Yeah.
that's really true.
Yeah.
And the worst
Well-
managers I've ever had are probably the smartest people, but their expectations
Yeah.
of others are unrealistic,
Yeah.
because they expect from others what they
What they
expect
can-
from themselves,
But-
and
what
it's
they're
always
good at.
wrong.
What they're good- yeah.
Right.
That's why I always thought, I
Right.
got to find out what they're good at. They'd be running the company if they were good at what I was doing.
Right.
I need, other skills.
You're right.
Yeah, right. That's incredible.
That's right. The last thing I need is
Say that.
another one like me
Exactly.
around here. Not going to work.
Exactly.
But I've really been blessed, because I have my partner is the executive vice president who you met, is similar to me in that we've had similar
I see.
experiences
Background,
running businesses. But in terms of the way he actually wants to contribute to the organization
see.
is
It's different.
complementary to me.
Uh-huh.
And when we realized that, I said,
Yeah.
wow, this means I don't have to do
That-
these 3 jobs. I can
that-
just focus on 2.
Yeah.
You can do
Yeah.
this. And it just makes it so
Yeah.
efficient, because the value,
Because
we're
those things you're sort of
interdependent.
mediocre at, but
Yeah,
can do.
I could
Right.
do, yeah.
Right.
But
you're
why do
mediocre,
that?
Right, if you're mediocre, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
why not go to a job
Yeah.
They
where
really
you
are
fill your
complementary.
where
Right.
you fill your mission in
Yeah.
life, and you feel that satisfaction, and
Yeah.
other people
Oh.
get to do their things,
That's
and you love them for
right,
it.
That's what I hope my whole work is about. I'm
Yeah.
trying to get people to do what they really want to do in life and show them tools to do it, because then
Right.
they'll feel better, they'll treat their loved ones better, they'll treat me better
It's
when
true.
I walk in or where. Yeah.
Right.
If you're doing something you hate, you're miserable at, man, you're just giving that vibe out all over. Well, tell us about SBA. What's the news for them, and how do people
Oh.
use that? There's a lot of misconceptions, I know.
There's a lot
and
of
you do, yeah.
misconceptions, because I've been doing this for a long time, and I think
Yeah.
the biggest misconception about SBA lending is that it takes 1,000,000 years and 1,000,000 pieces
Uh-huh.
of paper
Mhm.
to get what you're doing. But there's a lot of, well, I wouldn't say there's a lot compared to the whole world of commercial banking, but there's many banks that have SBA specialists.
Mhm.
And the first thing you have to do is make sure that you're working with a bank that has a
see.
specialized department in SBA lending. You don't want to dabble in it, because
Right.
the people that are dabbling in it,
I mean the bank,
they're
not
the
a
bank,
bank.
the
So you
bank.
wanna
They're
know-
they're the ones. If they don't understand the product,
Mhm.
it obviously trickles down to
Right.
the
Oh.
Customer,
the
yeah.
customer. So that's the first
How
thing
do
you
you
do.
find
Uh-huh.
banks that do specialize? I mean, is it easy to say you specialize and then don't, or is there
Well,
a list
actually,
of those?
yes, there actually is. I
Yeah.
mean, you
Oh,
can
yeah.
go to the Small Business Administration, and they still have local offices throughout,
Right.
which
Right.
is kind of amazing that they
Yeah.
still
Mhm.
have them.
Right.
And their main job is outreach. And you can ask them, who are the top 10
I see.
lending institutions
For
in this
SBA,
area,
right.
and they can tell you, they have a list of everybody that's done an SBA loan, and the first 10 or 20 have done,
80% of them.
at least
Oh.
80%
Yeah,
of them, and then the other,
Done one
d-
or some
d-
more.
and you don't want to go to the onesie twosie
Now,
ones.
what on that side?
Right.
Because if you're coming in to say you call the SBA and you're looking for the top, 10 banks who do SBA's
Mm-hmm.
loans in your area, is there like the SBA director down in D.C. told me once that it's good that certain banks specialize in certain kind of businesses.
Well,
is that
true? That's certain banks, and this is true even conventionally.
Yeah.
Banks have industries that they prefer to lend to,
right.
and in the SBA world, there are certain banks that won't do startups, even though SBA will guarantee a startup loan. There's certain banks that refuse to do them. There's certain banks that won't do loans under 100,000. There's some banks that's what they specialize in. There's some banks that only do loans that are secured by real estate, even though they have an SBA guarantee. And there are certain banks that do the gamut of them. So that's hard.
You notice.
That's right.
Stop twirling?
You did.
I mean, you're still moving, but not twirling anyway. No, it's
because
moving is great.
because this is what Linda. My favorite. Ask another entrepreneur who's done business with the SBA. I went through 3 banks, 3 major disappointments, and then I happened to just, in all my frustration dealing with this, happened to ask just somebody that I have networked with, also a business person, and he sent me. He says you have to talk to Lynn Ozer, and.
So what you were giving good advice, because if you call the SBA office and you say the criteria you're looking for, like you're a startup, this is the industry, this is the size alone would be good, then they could help you point at banks.
They should be able to. And sometimes I've had people come to me and I'll say, you know what? We're not the ones for you, but you might want to try XYZ Bank because I think that they do it. Most of the competition knows what the other ones do. They're not real anxious to send you to somebody else. But the SBA office, the local office, should know for what you do which bank that they should send you. But they have to be careful because as government employees, they can't recommend any one bank. That's the thing.
There is, I would think then, if you're not familiar with the banking system, you think every banker, like every doctor, knows everything. So if one bank turns you down on an SBA, it doesn't mean that no SBA bank is interested.
That's correct. That's right. That's absolutely correct. There's also the National Association of Government Guaranteed Lenders, which is the national trade association for banks that do participate in the programs of the Small Business Administration. They're naggl.org, and you can go on their website and get information about lenders that participate. The ones that are the members are the 20% that do 80% of the loans. That's a good resource to find them.
And so if you get that list in your area, then you really have to shop those to find the right.
That's right. The other thing that I think is good, and Dr. J's been the best, is if you find someone else who has an SBA loan and ask them about their experience with and how they got them. Recipients of SBA loans is public information. And you can get that, and then you could find a company that you might know someone in and say, what was your experience with the SBA? Did you like working with this bank? Were they receptive to this, that, or the other thing? But you're right in that every SBA lender is not created equal.
So if I'm a restaurant and you don't do restaurants.
Yeah, we do actually.
You do.
But some of them don't. No. There are a lot of them that stay completely clear of.
So that's why you walk out and say, well, I can't get an SBA loan. That's not true because you have to shop.
Yeah, you do.
And do so. It's like getting a date. When one turns you down.
That's right.
But even in conventional lending and people that don't need the credit enhancement, some banks have an appetite for lending to people who purchase investment real estate, and other banks are staying completely clear of it right now. It all depends on their own portfolio, the mix of it, their comfort level, and you even mentioned their expertise in that area. So it does change.
Is there? I hear mixed signals. The administration says yes, we're trying to give away a lot of money, and the industry says no, we're not giving away any money or lending any money.
Okay.
So where from
first
your
of all,
perspective?
in the last few years, now you remember I'm old, so I've been doing this for 30-some years.
Wow.
Okay, so in my
you stay young when you're doing what you love. I'm older than she is,
But the way banking, and the economy,
Yeah.
we've gone through
Right.
different
Yeah.
cycles in those 30 years, but never what we've gone through in the past several years. And no one could have predicted
Right.
how the economy worked. SBA lending historically is countercyclical to the economy. When things are good, SBA lending is not as popular because
I see.
banks are
You get it
taking
other
more
way.
risks.
Yeah, I see. Right.
And when banks' credit box shrinks,
Uh-huh.
there's more for us as SBA lenders to choose from.
I see.
So that's how it works historically. Well,
Because you're for people who can't get it elsewhere,
right.
theoretically.
Credit elsewhere
Right.
test is the number one rule when you're making an SBA loan. You as the banker are supposed to say, could this person get
I
credit
see.
elsewhere on reasonable terms for this particular project?
Okay.
Because the government is not going to put
Yeah.
tax dollars out there when these people could get loans elsewhere.
So, let's say that again for people, because that's very important, I think. This is money for people who cannot get it elsewhere at a
Right.
reasonable rate.
At a reasonable terms and rate. Now,
Whatever.
SBA loans, the advantage is that they give you a longer payback period,
Uh-huh.
so giving you working capital,
I see.
improving your cash flow over a longer period of time. The interest rate is not lower. The interest
I see,
rate
the terms
is
are-
more desirable on a conventional basis. But that's good, because if you can get it,
Right, you go.
you should get it at
Right.
the conventional basis. The SBA loans are more expensive. Listen, they're not like somebody
Sharks.
loan sharks. It's not.
Payday loan.
And it's not right. They're not payday loans. They're not
Yeah, right.
usurious.
So they're just a little
They're
more
more
expensive, maybe.
expensive, but what you're paying a little more for is to have a longer rate, and actually your monthly
A longer
payment,
term,
a
yeah.
longer term.
Longer term.
I'm sorry, your payment will be lower,
Yeah.
so your monthly cash
Right.
flow will be improved, and really
Yeah.
we're all about cash flow.
Right.
The timing of the money in and out of
Right.
the business is really critical, and that's what the SBA helps you to do. It gives you 10 years for a working capital loan,
Wow.
as opposed to a line of credit that they might lend you for working capital, but you have to make it zero for 30 days
I
out of the
see,
year,
yeah,
and you
yeah.
can't
You
do
can't
it.
do it, yeah.
No.
Ah.
So the advantage to SBA loans is in the term, and also in the industry, the banks are getting a 75% usually. There's definitely different programs with different percentages, but in general, a 75% guarantee to make this loan. So they're at risk always for 25% of the outstanding
the
amount.
government's guaranteeing about 75% of the loan.
Right.
So you loan me money and I go bust, you're going to get 75% from the government.
Assuming that I did my job as a lender and protected their interests properly and
I
followed
see.
the rules.
Right.
But yes, theoretically, that's exactly how it works.
Now the 25% you're saying?
The bank's at risk for
I
that.
see, right.
But, if you come in and you're making, you have a business and there's a reasonable chance that you're going to succeed, and we take whatever collateral is available, that's something that people don't realize. They think that they can get an SBA loan and not put up collateral.
No,
That's
it's
not
still a
the
bank.
rule. It's still a bank, and
Yeah.
really the bank is acting. And that's another thing. When you're looking for a lender, you should find a lender that is called a preferred lender. That's a status that's granted to banks who do specialize in SBA lending.
I mean, you
So
could be
you wanna
SBA lender and not preferred?
Yeah. You could be an SBA lender and not have attained preferred lending
I see.
status. Preferred lending status means that I make, because we're a preferred lender, SBA loans unilaterally. We are delegated to approve SBA loans for the agency because we have so much experience. We
I
know
see.
all
So
the
you're making
rules
a
and
lot.
regs.
Yeah,
So
I
we
see.
do it. We get the SBA guarantee on it.
I see.
Other lenders who don't have as much experience, they gather all the information from the owner and then they send it to the SBA and they say, listen,
Maybe,
our
maybe
bank's
not.
willing to do this. Will you guarantee it? So
I
the
see,
decision is with the SBA. So it's a longer process, but it still works. Still
Maybe.
works.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you're
The preferred lender is the way to go.
Yeah, because then you eliminate part of the risk.
You eliminate
not the
wasting
risk,
your
but-
time.
Right, exactly.
And your
Right.
time is
the risk
valuable.
of getting or not getting the money.
Correct. And you would know that from me,
Yes.
right away.
Right. Right, huh? So I could go into a preferred lender like you, talk about my business or whatever, and you could get a sense. And what kind of paper do you need?
Okay. Well, that's the thing about a preferred lender, and especially our bank and other lenders that,
Yeah.
Well, and now we have
local.
to say, it's not just the banker, but they have a team. And Lynn
Oh.
has got a team that,
$80 a piece.
and she's got a team that is so awesome that around here we refer to them as Lynn's Angels. And
They are wonderful. They're wonderful.
And they are amazing.
Yeah.
And that's, they really get what we're about, and that's so important.
So nice.
That's one of the, but that's one of the that's one of the values of the preferred lenders you have. They understand kind of what your business is and
like to pay, what do I have to come in with to show you?
Okay. You know what? You do have to come in with everything, but you don't have to come into me because we're a preferred lender with anything that you wouldn't have to come into a regular bank with.
Right.
You need financial information, and depending on where you are in your business cycle, depends on what you're going to be able to bring me. If you're a startup, we have a whole list of things that I want to see. Most importantly, a business plan.
Right.
Okay, and then we could go on and on and tell you what needs to be in the business plan. But if you are already an established business and you're looking to expand or grow, you need to have your last 3 years of tax returns, both personally and for the business, and you need to have a financial statement that's no older than 90 days that the management has prepared, and that's what we're going to look at, and a list of what you want your money for. That's the starting point. There's really not more information that you need up front. It's the same thing. As far as the paperwork is concerned for the government, any preferred lender that's worth their weight does the paperwork for the borrower. We can't create your financial information. I can't do your cash flows, but I can analyze them and then put them
on the paper.
My angels, put them all on the paper, sign right here. You don't have to deal with government paperwork. We do the paperwork for you. You have to give me the stuff that's particular to your company that I would not have any way of getting. And then, we analyze it.
I would assume somebody,
an accountant
or the Small Business Development Centers.
Exactly. They help you.
There's a way to do it for free.
Absolutely.
Right. The Small Business Development Center, SCORE.
Exactly.
They are all available to help you.
Well, that's terrific. So you've been at this 30 years?
Yeah.
And you have 2. Huh?
Yeah,
I
we didn't know each other.
We didn't know each other. I wish we had.
We could have solved so many problems.
Right, exactly.
A lot of our development was kind of in the research area before we could really go to market. We're only gone to market for about the past 6 months or so.
Doing this?
I've done a lot. No, I was a consultant. I failed at a lot of different things.
Right,
as most entrepreneurs, by the way.
I had a software company in the 70s.
Yeah. But this company, we started this company a little more than 10 years ago.
Wow.
And we could use our own product, but only on a consulting basis. We had to spend lots of money to build a way to interface and automatically deliver the reports. You get the report as soon as you've taken the assessment.
Match.com.
So, well, we needed that kind of heavy-duty technology.
Exactly.
And so by getting the SBA loan, and that's why it was so valuable for Lynn to really understand, and the whole Susquehanna gang.
Do what?
You're right. Well, she got it.
The thing is that she came to us at the right time. If she would have come to me 10 years ago or 15 years ago, where they were just doing research and development. SBA, that's not what they do. I mean, you'd need to have some kind of venture backing, and at that point, that would have meant her giving up ownership of her company, and that's not what she would have wanted to do.
No, she needed help.
She came to us. She had lots of equity invested into her business already, so she didn't come and ask for all the money to do this and build this and have the idea. She came to us at a point where she's ready to take this to market, and she could actually give me a projection of how she was going to pay the money back, because she was going to sell these risk-based assessments at $80 a pop, and we're online, and now we don't have to just deliver to people that I can see, feel, and touch. I can do role-based assessments in where are you? Across the
We
globe.
are,
right?
we are
India this
literally,
morning.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, that's the thing. So,
Singapore and
right, and she
Yeah,
had
we're
to
all
be
over.
able to deliver be at the point where she can deliver a product. Now, when
Everything
you're
automated.
opening a restaurant, it's another story. You're pretty much delivering a product right away. So it's a whole different analysis. But we lend to all types of businesses. But she came at the right time.
And she
The
helps all
most
kind of businesses,
difficult,
too.
right. The most difficult time to get an SBA loan is the first loan.
Yeah.
The startup loan is always the hardest to get.
Yeah, to me,
But
if you're an entrepreneur, you have to be creative enough to find a way around that.
Yeah, and you know what? If the most important thing to an SBA lender is your ability to generate cash flow to service the debt.
Right.
So if you can already show that your product or service is marketable and you can produce a bottom line, then the SBA can work with projections and so forth. If you're kind of at square one, it's more difficult. It's more,
get
but
a
there's
sale
ways
first.
around
yes,
it.
get a sale for her.
But you know what's really popular though is buying an existing business. And there's
see.
lots of baby boomers that are ready to sell their businesses
I
and
see,
move
that's
to
true.
Florida and play lousy golf.
Not us, not us.
But there are a lot of them.
Yeah, that's
and actually,
interesting.
that was a market that we were really looking closely at in 2008, before September of 2008. But those people, now they're starting again to think about selling their businesses. Their businesses, froze just like everyone else's.
I just
and
saw
and you don't want to sell your business when the last 3 years the
Going
trends
down,
are going
right.
down. So now, starting in 10, things started to get better
Yeah.
for a lot of businesses in 11. So now in 12 and 13 and 14,
That'll
I
be
think
there
we're going to
again.
see that. And that's another way for
I
people
see.
to
To
get
get
in
into
the door is
Because
to
they
buy
have
an
that,
existing
right.
business, and then there's a little bit
Yeah.
of a track record. And SBA is good with that because the problem
They
is
know. Yeah, they can see
collateral,
it.
and
Yeah.
collateral is made up with that 75% guarantee.
Right.
It's, can you pay the loan back?
Right.
That's what we want.
Well, you guys, terrific. Well, I'm going to be here 30 years, and it sounds like you guys are going to be here 30
Another,
years, too.
at least.
Oh, we're going to
At least, right?
Are they
Absolutely. And absolutely. And we'd like to help everybody who's watching this. So if they just
80
contact
bucks.
us.
That's terrific. I just
Absolutely.
can't believe it, yeah.
It's
I was afraid
awesome.
to ask initially because this is probably for something for
No, that's a good thing, right?
Yeah, it's
See,
terrific.
yeah.
Yeah, great stuff. Well, if you're like a lot of people in this country, always wanted to be their own boss because they hated the person they worked for, or have all that pressure of trying to please somebody else all day, you probably thought about a franchise, because they market those like hell in this country, and it sounds, I got a magic way just to, make money and be my own boss. Well, they're wrong in both sense. You may make money, you may not, and your own boss, no, because actually, to me, what's crazy is when you buy a franchise, you're working for the corporate offices. They tell you what to do, how to do it, and everything. Man, to me, it's worse than being an employee because they want a lot of money from you to buy a franchise. That's why franchises in this country are really set up for the rich folks, not for independent people. You're just going to work your butt off for somebody else, and be in hot too because of the loans. See what they do? It's another industry like housing and higher education that's subsidized by the government. See, that's why it's better to be a fat cat and have a franchise business. So you have an idea, say, hey, I'll franchise this, I'll do Lesko's, question mark soup, sell franchises all around the country. Well, you make a fortune doing that because what you do is you convince people to get government money. See, there's special money. They like giving money to franchises because they think, you're too stupid by yourself and Lesko, but Lesko doesn't know either. And so they lend you money, you go bankrupt or you go out of business and you have to pay back the money. But Lesko, because it was my franchise, I got the money long ago. You got the money from the bank, gave it to me, and I say, here, go do the franchise, and you screw it up. You're SOL. And that's the way it is. And that's why it's another subsidized industry by the government, subsidizing the fat cats to get fatter. And the little guy is stuck holding the bag again, like we were in AGI, and the financial crisis we have here. It's the little guy, the taxpayers. And here it's the guy who bought the franchise or the person or whatever. Now we have a database. If you go to bigdatalesco.com and you look at our franchise failures, so the fattest franchise failures, we have a database of 33,000 franchises that got loans from the government for their franchisees, the people who bought franchises from them. Okay, now in these 33,000, we have it searchable, and so you could put in pizza or whatever you want, over here by the search engine if you want to look for stuff. Well, here the failure rate. This is now organized by who's the biggest failures. You see, like wings and things. I've seen those around, right? Well, 94% of those businesses went belly up. So what happened? The people went who got the money, probably a few $100,000, because that's normally what you need, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, for one of these little tchotchke franchises. And then so you borrow the money, from a bank, but it's subsidized, it's guaranteed by the government. So you got a business, the Wings and Thing has all the money, and now you have all the debt, because you're out of business. See, and that's what a 94%. Noble Roman Pizza. That's almost 90% again. Executive Tans, 80%. Look at all these businesses. Athlete's Foot. Man, that was a big store, wasn't it? Wing Zone. Not sure what that is, but it sounds like another wing. Delis. You Build It. Bread Dough, the French. Dream Diners, Smoothie Factory, Planet Beach. Actually, I looked up Planet Beach this because they have almost a 60% failure rate. And look at 248 loans. 248 loans. That's $47 million. And the government's out. They had to pay that. and the 248 people here have to, are in bankruptcy now or whatever the heck it is. But Planet Beach, see, if you go to what does it require for them? See, here's their Entrepreneur Magazine does a little roundup of all the franchises if you want to get compare apples and apples. And you see, look at it costs, about $150,000, $300,000, the franchise fee, so that's right off the top they're getting. But then you have to use this other money to pay for inventory, equipment, and all the stuff that the franchise company sells. They sell it to you, the equipment, the inventory, all that kind of stuff. That they're getting all that money. And you're getting, bupkis. You're paying for it, and then hope you're going to succeed. And look at some of these rates, are incredible. That's why, to me, it's all rigged for the fat cat. They're the ones. So that, to me, there's more opportunity in starting a franchise business than there is in a franchise industry. An idea like Lesko's question mark suits or whatever, than there is in buying somebody else's. Look, Carvel ice cream, 56%. A default rate, man, 56%, amazing. So if you sort this too by who gets the most money, you sort on the dollar amount given out in loans. Look at this. These businesses are getting $500 million almost from government loans that are subsidized. So you want a Super 8 hotel. I don't know what it costs, a couple $100,000 or whatever. You don't make it. Now, Super 8 already has your money. They don't care. You're stuck with the being in debt. And I went over to the SBA site, took a look and said, okay, what happens when I default on a business loan? Here it is. It tells you, your credit rating is going to suck. Your interest rates are going to go through the ceiling. The government's going to foreclose on your property and all the collateral you got and everything. So they're coming after you, man. That's what it is about. But the fat cat who set it up and had a lousy idea or whatever, they're scot-free and they have the money. They have the $500 million. Now, if you go to how many people, who does it more, who gets the most of these kind of government monies for the, look at that, Subway sandwich shop, 2,500 people who bought Subway sandwich franchises and got money from the government. Now, they only have a 10% default rate, which I guess that's not bad, unless you're part of the 10%. Yeah. Or Quiznos, there's almost 2,000 people there. They have almost a 40%, default rate. Man, so I mean, a failure, that's what life is about. But what happens is you get stuck. See, the fat cat's not getting stuck with it, but they're showing you. They show you how to get one of these loans because it's no sweat off their back. They're just helping you get them money. You go out and get a loan for a couple $100,000, give it to the guy running the franchises, and they're very happy. Oh, but you know what I mean? He doesn't have a whole lot of incentive even to keep you in business because he's probably got all his money. So you pay them like 6, 7, 8% of your sales for the rest of your life. You pay them another fee after a couple of years too, just to have it. Look at Stone Cold Creamery. That's a guy 42% almost failure rate. These are these what do you call them? Ice cream stores, And actually, the guy became governor of Arizona. I guess he's so good at getting government money, they made him governor so they could get more government money for the state of Arizona. So be careful of all this kind of stuff. I mean, to me, particularly if you want to be your own boss, man, that is, franchise just feels like, being in jail again. You're working for somebody else and they're beating you up, to follow their rules. And that's what the normal job is like. So why quit? Why pay somebody $300,000 to do that? When you get paid and it costs you nothing to have a job like that. But the opportunity is, man, to think of a franchise idea. What can you franchise? What would be cool, right? Question mark suits, yoga studios, anything. That's where the money is.